Buck Parker's retirement hasn't slowed him down one bit. There's always work to do on his property. It might be taking care of his 350 apple trees or stocking one of his ponds for the fishing outings he hosts for veterans.
When they say retirement, I says, boy, I work more now, and there's always something to do.
Helping vets is important to Buck. He's a decorated veteran of the Vietnam War. He stared at death on the battlefield and won. But a few years ago, Buck had another fight with cancer, and he was losing.
We had some tumors taken out, and I believe it was 5 of them. We went back in 2 weeks to have the stitches taken out, and 11 tumors were back. You know, I already had 2 rounds of chemo and a round of radiation, and Dr. Albertini said it's time to get things in order.
Do you have any results from the assay today yet?
Dr. Mark Albertini at the UW Carbone Cancer Center told Buck he may have only months to live. Buck had melanoma cancer that they couldn't stop.
The average survival at that point in time for patients with melanoma that has spread, so-called metastasized, is actually less than a year. The situation was quite serious, and we spent much time trying to identify potential ways of treating the cancer.
Well, I had high spirits. You can't give up the ghost. You got to keep trying, And there's only one thing to do is live.
Buck wasn't ready to give up, and neither was Dr. Albertini. He offered him a clinical trial as an option.
We discussed both standard and experimental treatments. We discussed a novel vaccine approach that we were at that point investigating.
So if there's a clinical trial which was out there for me to try, maybe help Dr. Albertini with some other patients, I wanted to give him another tool. If I'm going to die, let me die, at least, find out if it's going to work.
We would not have the current treatments we have now if it were not for patients like him and for him himself. That said, I really want to help others. I really want to hopefully benefit from these treatments, but participate and try to move the whole field forward and really help eliminate this cancer called melanoma.
Buck's willingness to try a clinical trial saved his life. And immunotherapy targeted his melanoma, and within a few months, he could actually see his cancer shrinking.
Wife was watching TV, and I come running out of the shower, and I give her the thumbs up, and she thought something was wrong. And I said, no, hon, it's the cancer, it's folding in. It's like a cake you take out of a hot oven and you let it sit and just folding right in.
You try not to get your hopes up, but you sure are hoping that, yeah, this is turning that corner.
So these test results basically show
Buck did more than turn the corner. The immunotherapy eliminated his melanomas. Now, 5 years after participating in the clinical trial, his latest scan shows the cancer has not returned.
He feels great with no detectable cancer in his body. We're trying to study exactly why that happened, and we're trying to hopefully make that knowledge useful and usable for other patients going forward.
Without the clinical trials, I'm not here. The clinical trials, I recommend it for everybody. If you're going to give up, say sign a paycheck, you also go out swinging. Well, that's how I looked at it. Why not take that last pitch?